public access channel on Facebook Live on the public access Facebook page. The following information is provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link attached to the agenda found on the town website. From a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter webinar ID. I just realized is incorrect on, on the agenda. Enter webinar ID 7663167607. It is correct on the link. This agenda lists topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any announcements from the committee?
Nope.
All right, I have a couple. First and foremost, it is officially October, which means that we are rapidly approaching budget season, and we are still short 2 members. And we are very close to not being at a quorum, should anybody be sick or anything like that. So we could certainly use the help. It's not a massive commitment, but there is some time involved in it. So certainly a worthwhile activity. I encourage you to go to the town website and fill out a talent request or volunteer request form now. No longer a talent bank form. And submit it. We could certainly use the help. Next up is the Lions Club Food Pantry. Just a little blurb that they had asked me to read. In October of 2022, the Lions Club provided support to approximately 25 families each month. By August of 2023, this number had skyrocketed to an astonishing 91 families per month. This remarkable increase underscores the challenging task in meeting the growing demand for funds. They are getting critically low on their food with colder months coming up and Thanksgiving coming up. They provide usually about 125 meals to families in town for Thanksgiving. And they are requesting any donations available. They can be monetary, they can be gift cards, they can be food, they can be just about anything. So I encourage you to visit their website, which is lunenburgfoodpantry.org, and find out some more information. It's a very worthwhile service to the town. Lastly, actually, we'll get into that at the end for future meetings. That's totally fine. Let's move on to town manager report, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey there.
Good evening.
So when was the last date that we met? Start from there.
December 22nd, I think.
So I'll go back to September, the mid-September.
August 22nd.
The September 11th flash floods that hit mainly Leominster. We did still incur some damage from that storm. We were contacted by our delegation about submitting the estimated costs, which we did, and the DPW director has been working with MEMA on that and submitting the forms for estimated cost. At this point for Lunenburg, it was around $75,000, I believe, last known. That was mainly a lot of washout on sides of roads from the storm.
Is that only funds for the town, not for any personal?
Correct. Yep, we did ask that question though, because we did get people that had flooding in their basement and such, and we forwarded that question on to the state, but we haven't received an answer yet.
Okay.
Was that submitted just to the state, or was that submitted to the federal as well? Technically, it was a...
State. It was a state of emergency.
Okay.
I believe I had let finance know about that additional funding through EPA was going to be covered for 925 Mass Ave. No? Okay. So that work over the summer was complete. There is additional work that in the scope was submitted by the contractor that did that project to the EPA. That's including removal of the hydraulic lift in the building, some storage, floor drain holding tanks, and related materials from the building. So the EPA did approve additional funding for all that, and they it was a very positive thing to hear back that they want to see this project done for the town. So I think they're on board with seeing it to completion.
Is there a project date in place for that at all?
I'm sorry?
Is there a plan for when that is hoping to be done by?
I don't know. I'm just waiting on them when they can start that next phase for that work. I did submit a grant to Mass Development. I had reported that before, so waiting that announcement from Mass Development on the grant for real estate technical assistance. So that would be working on conceptual plans for that property, doing a market analysis for feasibility of selling that piece, and putting the RFP together for it to sell.
Does this next phase include fully deconstructing the building?
No,
No, okay.
no.
Just the removal?
Just the
of
related hazardous materials. So when they take out the hydraulic lift, they dig a test pit underneath that to make sure that no hydraulic fluids leaked into the ground. But preliminary, there's no identification of any related wells, because there's no private wells in that 500-foot vicinity. So.
Good.
The LED streetlight project, as you know, that hit a snafu with some wiring, but we have proceeded with that. It's not as bad as it was initially when they first started the project as they're going along. So we'll regroup, and that's supposed to be done by the 22nd of this month. The Senior Center ADA patio project, that's near completion. The groundbreaking ceremony is next week. We encourage everyone to come. It's at noon, and it's rain or shine. And if anyone's been by there, it already looks fantastic with the sod all laid out and everything, and the pavilion done. So I can't wait to see it in use and enjoyed by all. The TC Passios building, as you know, there have been leaks in that building, mainly the middle corridor, and that's one of the special town meeting articles on the warrant, is to address that repair of that center portion of the roof. Our new website will be launching next week, so that's exciting. We had our migration for our accounting software this week. That took a little over 2 days to get through. There's still a couple critical issues that have been escalated to the team on Tyler's end that they're working on, but all the other users are able to get in and work in the system. So I think a lot of it was to be expected, those things that you work out as you're going through an upgrade. Third quarter preliminary tax bills. So the select board had authorized it to sign a letter requesting authority to issue third quarter preliminary tax bills to the Department of Local Assessment, Division of Local Assessment, and that was approved by them, by the Bureau of Local Assessment. So that's allowing us to extend that certification process until after January 1st. Therefore, it allows third quarter estimated tax. So that third quarter estimated bill will be the same as the first and second. And therefore, all of the increase will be in that fourth quarter actual bill. what will happen is after the special town meeting, a pro forma recap is done. It's very similar to a tax recap form that's filed after the town has a town meeting to close out end of year changes. And after that's approved, we can mail out third quarter estimated bills by December 31st, and then be due by that February 1st deadline. Related to that, we had our kickoff meeting with the contractor, Vision, who also does our software for assessing, and just discussing timeline. Their first step in the process is sales analysis and verification. So they're trying to finish up some projects they have for other towns right now, but we'll still stay on that timeline and timetable that they set forth in their proposal. And we talked about making sure, as far as public relations, getting as much information out as possible, as early as possible. And I applied for a Community Compact Best Practice Grant, and you can apply up for 2 best practices. The 2 that I applied for were financial management category, and it's to utilize, the request was to utilize the Collins Center, create a comprehensive package of financial management policies, financial procedures manual, and a memorandum detailing any additional findings and recommendations regarding financial structure and general administrative practices. So that request was for $30,000. And the second request for best practice was resilient and reliable transportation, and that's to create a multi-year asset management plan that inventories and rates the conditions of our bridges and culverts, and that request was for $25,000. So we'll hear shortly. Both projects critical to the town, I believe. I'll let you know when I hear officially. We received 1 bid for our public safety carport project. Those were due on September 20th. The 1 bid was from Diversified Construction Services for $517,918. We put this out to bid previously in June of 2021, and we received 2 bids at that time, and the low bid was $298,750. We currently have $135,000 for that capital project. So speaking with the police chief and the facilities director, we're gonna postpone, not even postpone, we're gonna scrap this project altogether and ask for reappropriation of those funds at a future town meeting. The bids for the 2 DPW trucks were due this week, and we received 1 bid from Minuteman Trucks for 2 F-750 trucks totaling $481,975. That doesn't include the trade-in values for the decommissioned trucks. And so what we're doing right now is we put the decommissioned trucks up on Municipid to see if we can get a higher price than the trade-in value that was submitted. So as soon as those close on Municipid, we'll award this and base it on what we get for submittals for Municipid for those trade-in values. And they said the anticipated delivery date by Minuteman is on or before June 30th at 24. So that was, the price was where we expected to be. The $480,000 was what we had requested through and is committed in ARPA funding. And the delivery date was encouraging as well. And I think that may be all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? All right. I'll stay right there.
Sure.
So moving on to the warrant articles for the special town meeting happening on November 14th. Next Tuesday, we have a public hearing. So far, I have confirmation from the police chief and from the school department and school committee that they will be attending to answer questions for us. I haven't heard from the parks chair yet, but I'm sure we can probably get someone from the parks committee to come in on that day. Those are the only moneyed articles that I came across that were other than like the sewer enterprise fund and all of that stuff, or by the town manager themselves. So if we do need to have anybody else as we go through this, I'll take a note and I'll reach out to them immediately afterwards to invite them as well. But my idea for this one was just to get a dry run through, at least speak with the town manager. She's obviously not going to be able to get into too many nitty-gritty details on the moneyed articles for parks or for the police department or whatnot, but we'll have the ability to at least go through them, ask a couple questions, and then be prepared to talk more in depth next Thursday, and ideally vote for recommendations at that point. So let me start sharing. There we go. Okay. So Article A, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds all sums of money necessary to amend the amounts voted for the town's FY 2024 budget under Article 7 of the May 6th, 2023 town meeting, or take any other action relative thereto, submitted by the town.
Great. I don't have anything to report on actual changes, amendments to the FY '24 budget, just that we do have excess levy capacity due to the state aid numbers, the final ones, compared to our May town meeting estimates. So they were higher than our estimates used at the annual town meeting. So we have approximately 129,000 in excess levy capacity. I have asked the state through DOR to confirm that we're able to raise that money at the special town meeting, given that we're sending out third quarter preliminary taxes. Not having gone through this process before, I just want to make sure we're doing everything properly.
Okay.
You haven't gotten an answer
No.
yet?
No. But to be fair to them, I just sent them an email today because
They haven't gotten back to me yet?
so depending on that answer is how we'll move forward with that article.
Okay.
Right now, there are no prior year invoices, so that's B. C is to fund the first year of the clerical union bargaining agreement, and we are still in negotiations at this point.
Are we anywhere close to having negotiations completed for that?
I hope so, but I can't promise.
Okay.
D, you'll hear about from the chief next week. If you want more, he did a presentation along with Officer McNamara on Tuesday's select board meeting, if you want to watch that. A lot of good information. And I can forward, I don't know if he already did, the slideshow.
He said I could either get it from you or he could send it to me. I haven't responded
I can
yet.
drop it in the drive.
Okay. He will be here next week. Officer McNamara will be out of office for that week, but we'll at least have the chief here.
E is the article from the school department regarding the AC project.
Yeah, so one thing on that one, I know we asked a lot of questions when they briefed that in the spring. And I'd like answers to those questions that were asked. So, they asked about electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and engineers in general, and whether there were quotes and all that kind of stuff, so I would like to see that information.
Okay. I can pass that on to the school department and the school committee as well.
Thank you.
Letter F.
F is the article for the TC Passios building roof repair. And that estimate that we have for that center portion is $300,000. What I am hoping to do, and I've been hounding the DEP regarding the funds that we received through an earmark last year for the 30 School Street project. They haven't sent those funds yet, so I was told a couple days ago that we should be receiving it next week. If that's the case, I would propose that we transfer there's a large project under there for the 30 School Street project, and transfer those funds to pay for the roof repair.
How much is the roof repair?
The roof,
Yes.
300,000,
300,000?
and that's the center portion of the building. I can send, I'll drop in it's an image with the sections of roof, the estimated cost for each portion if that project were done in phases.
What will they do to it?
So it's, I believe, re-rubbering that whole portion of that building. So removing and replacing that whole section. That's where we have the most leaks. I think there's been over 40, if I'm not mistaken, different leaks that they've had to patch. And we're still seeing occasional leaks here and there. And specifically, it's been leaking like in the public access where their studio room is. So that's a highly occupied area used as well, where we're seeing the most. So, and it's I think the least expensive portion to repair.
Can we get a picture or something and just show like,
Yes.
almost like a capital plan, one slider like you usually do?
Yes, I can send you, let me see if I can drop it right now. This way you can look at it.
Seems like a lot.
Like dead air.
Yeah.
It's the best kind.
Yes.
And that's not the whole roof?
Do you know how many like square feet it is or anything?
That section of roof. So I just uploaded it to your.
Just like that gold dome stuff they use?
Adding
put it
metal
really bright
roofing
up.
to that would be additional 50,000. So this pricing includes prevailing wage.
So priority one, I
So-
assume.
8,321.9 square feet.
112 linear feet.
Do we
Oh,
know?
it's ju-
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Do we know if maybe Tom would know this, the building design committee, is that part that we're gonna currently thinking of keeping, or?
Yeah, we talked about the roof and about keeping it. We
It's the back section,
yeah,
I
the
think.
the
that-
plan is to tear down the wings and leave the middle part where we're doing the work, most of the work.
That green area would stay?
Yeah, that would be part of the part we keep. I guess the area where the basketball court isn't bad, I think, but, so, it's that area behind it, I think,
Down here.
was the worst. So that's the plan now. It's a difficult thing for the committee because we're not finalizing anything, and it's, it'd be tough to, we do this, and then a year from now, we go like, now we've changed our minds, now we're going to do something else, and we're going to tear it down. But right now, that's the plan. So this is the best thing to do.
If I can just, I'll be.
And it'll be harder to change
I've
our
been
minds
here
once we dump
7
300,000
years
into it.
in January, and we've been talking about town buildings the whole time. So I would really advocate for doing this. This is an occupied building. We've known for many years that this roof has been beyond life expectancy, and kind of putting this on hold and patching what we can, but it's beyond that point. And I think just going through larger building projects, any decision that's made with this building or the other municipal buildings, it's going to be a number of years before that happens as well, going through that process.
What are those other numbers up there? 520, is it 520, 552K?
52,000 if the
roof.
metal roof.
And $291,270 for TPO here.
So you're just asking for TPO here?
Yes.
What is the DEP funding for the 30 School Street? How much is it, how much is that, and do you have any idea why we haven't received it yet? And have they given you any indication as to what's going on with it?
Well, every agency is different to deal with. I don't think they were used to handling earmark type situations. So paperwork was different than normal, and the process. So it's been being persistent and following up.
Do you know how much the earmark was?
100,000.
Okay.
And the other 200 would come from free cash?
No, come from that project in the capital plan. So we've had a couple funding sources for 30 School Street. One was for the plans, survey plans, and hazardous abatement. That was its own individual article.
Yeah.
And then in the capital plan, there was an article for the Vertex part for the demolition. So, as well. So the bids came in much lower than those two combined sources, and we got the earmark. So we had more than sufficient funding for that project. So the surplus saying would go to this project.
What's the total of the surplus of that project?
That's, I have to check in with Karen
Okay.
on. Is there anything, more technical questions that I can relay to the facilities director that anyone has?
Is the 52K an option? Or
Correct, on top of the 300.
on top of?
Right.
Okay.
Addition to the 300.
Right. No, it definitely wouldn't be.
Okay. That seems like a really nice price.
Yeah, if it were that, yes, we'd say yes.
Is there any type of a warranty that they're offering with this, or?
I'm sure there would be the typical it would still have to go out to bid and everything, and
Right.
within those bid specs, there would be warranty.
Okay.
So where did this 300,000 estimate come from?
The capital article with unused funds for the 30 School Street project.
We don't have an actual estimate on it.
I'm
We don't have
sorry?
an actual estimate for that yet, for the roof work?
For what's surplus, it would cover the cost of this project.
No, do we have an actual estimate for the roof repair, or we just,
This,
It's just a-
what I'm showing you was their estimate, the roofing company that the facilities director got a estimate from.
okay, so you had a roofing company, okay.
Yes, yep. And they're familiar with prevailing wage jobs and would likely bid on this project as well.
Any other questions? All right. Oops, wrong one.
All right. The next two articles are from the Sewer Commission. They're the typical special town meeting articles to transfer funds into their stabilization funds. Article I is the one the select board is requesting to change the source of funding for the ambulance and the 2 dump trucks from ARPA to the special purpose stabilization fund.
Yes, I'd like to get the select board here to talk about this request.
Okay.
I feel like the time is running out for ARPA. We're going to put more money back into ARPA, potentially risk losing it. And in essence, 3 people can decide what to do with that ARPA funding. So I don't really think I'm a fan of that approach for those reasons.
I can, do you want to?
I can send it,
Or I
I'll
can.
send it out to the whole select board. Or, I don't know, will they respond better to you possibly?
I don't mind.
I mean, I saw the request that went in and how they went about deciding what to do, and I don't feel that there was any real process associated with it, and there was a lot of feeling associated with it, and I have a lot of problems with some of the decisions, like giving money to the water district, which should be a self-funded organization. We gave money to nonprofit organizations. We were considering it for other towns. I mean, it didn't seem in line with any kind of vision of long-term planning, so I don't really see the need as to why to put money back into ARPA when we could go through the normal processes that are well-established and have input from the entire community. And if we need to, not put money into special stabilization for a while, at least we have a fund there in the future, so. That's kind of my initial thoughts related to that article.
I can send them an email asking them to come to the 12th.
The 12th.
I guess the other thing is, and I sent you a note earlier today, and one of the things that they might say for ARPA is that, it dealt with things like the abatement issue, which was kind of an emergency kind of thing. But I think as a town, we have the opportunity to develop a reserve fund.
We have a reserve fund,
Okay. How much is in the reserve fund?
75,000. Yeah, we did discuss this at the end of the budget season last year, I believe, and talked about, we really should look at increasing that, which I do agree with. It's gonna, and I responded to your email
Okay.
late, but
Okay, that's all right.
it's gonna come down to competing needs. So what we're able to increase it to.
Yeah, and even if we built it up over time, that's fine, right? I think, what can it be, like 5% of the?
5% of the prior year's levy, I believe it was.
Okay. I mean, I think that that's a wise thing for our town to have money in there. It may be a wise thing for us to use at times as kind of these emergencies pop up or the unknowns pop up. And maybe we need some financial policies related to how to kind of request that and what process to do. Should it be the select board asking the finance committee for approval on it or that sort of thing? Or maybe it's all laid out and I just don't know it, but.
For use of it or setting?
use of it,
For
yeah.
use of it, it
Well, I
has-
guess both. How much should it be funded and how would one go about using it?
Use is established by Mass General Law as far as approval through the Finance Committee and the Select Board.
Okay.
So what's the difference between having a reserve fund and the stabilization fund?
Stabilization, reserve fund is within your operating budget, so you don't need to go to town meeting to use those funds during the fiscal year. The stabilization fund requires a town meeting vote to use a two-thirds vote to take it out, to put it
take it
in.
out.
There's no threshold now. It's just a majority vote.
So what
to put
kind of
in.
things would you use a reserve fund for?
Emergency, unexpected, unanticipated expenses that come up during the year. We typically we have been using it at the annual town meeting towards snow and ice deficits at the end of the year to close out, so we don't have to use free cash or any other source for snow deficits. But during the year, there could be something, and we have used it for other things as well. I think one year, the fire department had a lot of repairs to one of the apparatus that they had to come in. I think it was around 15,000 additional beyond their budget that they didn't have for repairs. So it's unanticipated expenses during the year.
Okay.
We have a meeting coming up with the town treasurer and town finance director in November. I think we can at least have that conversation there as well with a little bit more in-depth information.
There are guidelines for the ARPA spending. And water, sewer, and internet were like the three main bullets for ARPA.
It's not paid for my,
No.
yeah, it's only, I don't know.
We on to Jay?
Jay?
That's the report of the Municipal Building Design Committee. So Tom may be able to address that more from the discussions at meetings, I don't know. I think the last meeting was canceled, right? Tom?
Tom?
Oh, Mr. Time, sorry. Yeah, we wanted to have that, the committee wanted to have a discussion with the town about that, mostly hopefully to get buy-in or at least information to the town about what's going on. I know we've had various different meetings with the select board. All our meetings have been public, but we thought at that meeting, I think either Mr. Jeffries or Mr. Roy was going to do that, I'm not sure. But
You may want to consider doing that before the article on the roof.
So the order of this is not final.
Yeah,
Just
no.
so you know.
Yep.
yeah, 'cause that
Yeah,
would
that's
do
a
lot to-
good point. I did speak with the facilities director that we should probably attend specifically about that article at one of the municipal building design meetings prior to town meeting. I know you're aware of it, but just to speak to it. And the next article is going to be confusing to voters. So the Park Commission submitted a park grant, and the agency that reviews the grant is requiring this town meeting vote. Even though, if you read it, it's talking about reauthorizing the $184,000 that the town already voted on at a prior town meeting. It talks about the $1 million that was committed by the select board, which doesn't require a town meeting vote, and accepting the restriction, which there is a deed restriction on this property as well. They're calling out that it's pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 45, Section 3. So it's going to come across as confusing to voters, I think, but just to be clear, it's not asking for any additional funds for this project. The $1 million has already been committed through ARPA, which is not raising anyone's taxes. The 184,000 was already approved by town meeting, so it's not an additional 184,000.
She is.
When was that approved?
The 184 was last November's town meeting.
2022.
Yes, yep.
And we have someone from Parks on if there's any questions.
Ms. Menard is on.
Karen. She hates that.
Do Mrs. Chris Menard.
You have to serve on a committee with her.
She's great to serve on a committee with.
I don't know, she had a,
Are there any questions for this one? It's, do we know what the deed restriction is on that property, just out of curiosity?
That it's recreational
That's it?
property. I have to pull
Park
the
and playground
actual
purposes.
deed reference.
Evan, this is Karen. It was deeded over to the town like almost 100 years ago. It's crazy. As a park, and it was accepted by the town as a park. They're just looking for us to fall into a specific chapter, which is why the wording is what it is. Sort of not redoing it, but redoing it for lack of a better word.
Okay, thank you. So the entire purpose of this is just because
To apply for this grant.
the grant came back
It
and
was required
said,
by that agency.
so effectively there is no direct financial impact, effectively,
Correct.
because it's already money
That
that's been
hasn't
spent
already
or has
been
been
voted
granted.
on and
Right.
approved.
Okay,
and it is like a $500,000 grant, so it is a pretty big one.
right.
And the remaining articles, I cannot answer questions.
They're all planning board.
Planning
But probably
and
no
ag-
financial impact,
yeah,
right?
Correct. I didn't even
agricultural.
invite Adam.
You don't want to torture him now that he's leaving?
He did a presentation at the
He
Board of
did.
Selectmen.
Yeah, he said to watch that. That was his exact response.
I watched it.
He did a really thorough job of explaining.
I did see that part of it.
Any other questions on the last few that,
The solar parking canopies, is that there just, is there a need for that? Have someone asked for that, or is that just,
Didn't hear in his presentation that there were any requests. I think they were doing it in the spirit of climate sustainability and making sure that, smaller businesses could opt for this as well.
they're big, from what I could see, they're big in California, Southern California. A lot of the schools, their parking lots are covered. One, because it helps the cars not get burned up, but also it provides solar power, so it's good. I guess, I don't know, I'm not sure if our weather is conducive to that, but
You do see more and more of them as you drive around.
Yeah.
So I think it is to me, it's a better solution than clear-cutting forests to put
Yeah.
in solar power in the name of green energy. It is good space for it.
it just, the only negative is that sometimes they don't look so good. So you have to be careful of that.
True.
But neither do the solar farms, where you, nice green forest around and sometimes they don't look good either, but, gotta do what you gotta do.
You'd be happy when your car's nice and cooler during the summer.
any other questions on the first read-through? Excellent. All right, we have some notes. I will reach out to some people for some answers as well. And we will reconvene next week for it. Can do a vote. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, old business. I don't have anything specifically that I had linked on here. Is there anything anybody is looking to speak about for old business? Excellent. Moving right along. Minutes. There are 3 sets of minutes in the drive. 2 of them have been in there for a little bit, 6/8 and 6/22. And then we have the 9/14 minutes as well. Has anyone had a chance to read through them?
Yep.
Excellent. Any issues with them? I would happily entertain a motion for all 3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are unanimous.
Are we caught up on all our meetings?
We are not. There is one set of meetings that I reached out to Danielle to ask about. Karen did the first 2 on 6/8 and 6/22.
Okay.
And then Danielle joined, so
Yeah,
there's
okay.
that one in between that.
And it
Danielle-
wasn't the one that was canceled, right?
No.
At one point you mentioned one, but it was actually a canceled.
No, it was not. Yeah, there's one more that's in there. I emailed Danielle about it a couple days ago. So with any luck, we should be getting that one as well, plus these ones coming up. Committee reports. Want to head on down the line? Ms. Russell, any committee reports?
I met with the DPW director. He filled me in on some different things that they're doing and the shortages that they have. Just talking to some of the guys, very disheartening. You know, the hours they put in and the lack of respect that they get from some of the people they do the work for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Mr. Gray?
I did not see the last, I have school committee, and I didn't see the last one. I will look at that. I haven't had a chance to do that, but, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Mr. Simeoni?
I sent out a little email from
Yep.
Sue Doherty there on Council on Aging. That's all she had about the patio being completed and having that little ceremony. And I did watch sewer meeting the other day. They have they have an issue with delinquency payments, like 21%. So they're doing some kind of civil action that allows them to do some sort of fining process. They have some people that haven't paid in over a year. So
Mr. Menard?
I have nothing to report.
The only thing that I have to report is the Master Plan Steering Committee met at 6 o'clock tonight, so it's nice and fresh in memory. There's a couple things that are coming up. There's going to be a website that is being launched ideally a week or 2 after the town's website launches. It will be planlunenburg.com, and that is to give information on the process of the steering committee, allow for surveys and communication and whatnot. There's a bunch of public outreach events coming up where there is going to be our contract companies where they're going to be distributing bookmarks and flyers and whatnot that have QR codes for surveys as well, just to talk to the public and get more information for where they would like to see the town go. And just, they're still in the data gathering phase. Primarily, it's going to be on October 21st near the Lions Club with the parade, during the homecoming parade. They'll be at Shrieks and Creeks as well that evening, handing stuff out. October 28th, trunk or treat, they'll be there as well. And then the big one is that we are shooting for, this is not set in stone by any means, but ideally we are going to have a public meeting at the library on November 2nd. And with any luck, fingers crossed, at that time we will have a 5-foot by 8-foot CNC'd display of the town that has the Z-axis sort of over exaggerated, so you can see from a top-down perspective. with an acrylic top on there so it gives you the ability to kind of write on it, to discuss on it, and at the end of the project, I guess we get to keep it as well.
Wow.
So with any luck, that will be at the library as well to start the conversation. And that is probably, I don't know, 7 to 9 o'clock, something to that effect. But again, all of that will be coming out over the next few weeks. And then the other one is just to please disseminate to anybody the website and to just get as many people involved as possible, because the more people we have involved, the more of a town appeal that we actually have for this final project. Other than that, I don't have any other reports. Topics.
I have a go back, I guess, I
Sure.
forgot. Capital planning was kicked off, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And our first kind of capital planning, get in the season mode is scheduled for, I think, the week after next. As a capital planning committee, we agreed to kind of use the first few months focused on next year's capital items, but then extend the season longer than they usually do and focus on the kind of the 5-10-year plan so that we can get a pretty good estimate of what's in front of us. So I was happy to hear about the infrastructure one, because I think that's a big component of it. Some portions of the capital plan are a little bit more routine, like buying cruisers and stuff like that, but having a good estimate of when big ticket items like bridges and culverts and stuff like that is kind of a, as well as facilities that we talked about, so.
Excellent, thank you. Topics for future meetings. We're gonna have a lot coming up in the next few weeks, so if there's anything we want to discuss before we kick off budget season officially, now's the time to do it. Perfect, works for me. Is there any public comment from the public? Seeing none. Any public comment from the committee? All right. Upcoming meetings. October 12th, next Thursday, we will be having a public hearing in here. So that is a chance for anyone in the public to come by and discuss the warrant articles with us, to ask questions of the department heads where moneyed articles are being put up for a vote. So I encourage public participation at 7 p.m. here. We have 2 regularly scheduled meetings, October 26th and November 9th. Following that, November 14th at 7 p.m. at the Middle High School Auditorium is the special town meeting. And then lastly, on November 4th, this is for us, the Finance Committee wing of the Mass Municipal Association, the MMA, is having their annual meeting on November 4th in Sharon. We have the ability to go. We have $1,000 sitting in our meeting funds account, and the tickets are, if all of us were to go, it would be about $325. So if you would like to go, it's the best way just to sign up and be reimbursed, or to send a message to Elaine.
I'm not sure how the form is, if you could submit it in advance and they just spell the town.
I haven't looked. I haven't gone past the register button. I didn't actually click on it yet. But I'm planning to attend. I encourage anyone else. This is the good one, at least for all the Finance Committee members, to go to. And they've announced the official annual meeting of the full MMA is January 19th and 20th at the Heinz Convention Center. I went last year. It was very interesting. That one's $240 per person, so there's certainly room to put people in there if other people would like to go as well. That's all I have for upcoming meetings. Any other public comment from the committee? Excellent. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Anyone in the public?
I did. I asked public first.
No.
I gave them the opportunity first. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?